Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning all. Let me introduce myself. My name is Angga Putri Utami from 5A class as Collegian in English Department of PGRI University. Today, I would like to explain the summary of applied linguistics material. Okay, the first material is discuss about 3 reasons why. In this chapter, it talks about recognize that the relationship between teaching and learning is indirect. Even if a form is understood and produced under controlled circumstances, this does not guarantee that learners will be able to use it. These have 3 main points. First, complexity and the grammar of orientation. It talks about how elements in the message are related to one another in space and time, and whether or not a participant in a text is identifiable by the receiver. And the second, pattern grammar, extent and coverage, that have 3 basic meanings. The first, concerning a particular subject, second, approximately, and the third, to indicate spatial orientation. And the last, building a meaning system. There are 2 reasons why learning is not directly related to teaching. First, some aspects of the grammar are simply too subtle to explain, and the second, giving pattern grammar as an example. That some systems are so extensive that it is impossible to offer complete coverage. Again, we can offer useful hints, but must then depend on learners exploring language for themselves. Next, discuss about English vocabulary and collocation. One goal of applied linguistics is to improve decisions made by dictionary writers and syllabus designers when systematically presenting English vocabulary to users or learners of the language. Collocation is a semantic, textual, or statistical property which involves words being used together more frequently than might otherwise be expected, or being used together very rarely. Okay, next chapter is talk about grammatical metaphor. Grammatical metaphor defined as the use of a grammatical form to express a meaning which is different from the meaning that the form originally evolved to express. For example, the traditional account describes nouns as referring to things and verbs as expressing action and event. Next chapter talk about conversation analysis in the language classroom. Conversation analysis is an approach used to investigate how speakers collaboratively construct talk, and useful tool for analyzing classroom discourse and for teaching oral skill. We can analyze in the conversation where is part of agency pairs, preference, organization, opening and closing sequences. Next chapter is talk about communicative language teaching. It is study of language as a system or essentially grammar or vocabulary, and extensive practice in language structures through example audiolingual language teaching. We're unable to use language effectively in real-world communicative situation. There are 3 perspectives. First, communication as competence. Second, communication as process or sometimes used to inform communicative methodology. And the last, communication in context. Next chapter discuss about linguistic and language learning. Linguistic is not very relevant to language learning, like morphology, phoneme, and syntax. Applied linguistic is concerned in the language learning hasn't done much to improve the quality of language instruction. Some phases such as different phases in language instruction and the last different phase in linguistic. The problem with linguistic. In many cases, people who teach language just have been studying linguistics, so they all wrap it up in these theories. So the brain has a chance to develop another set of patterns to deal with the second language, and the more open mind we are, the more we won't do, then attitude, the more we like it. So, because the ability to learn is influenced by emotion, you need to be motivated to learn language. Read, listen, and start speaking using language, and don't worry about how you sound or anything else. Next, discuss about quiz of applied linguistic. There are 15 points. First, adult language learning, children's language learning, communication in the profession, constructive linguistics and error analysis, discourse analysis, educational technology and language learning, evaluation assessment and testing, language and media, contact and language change, language for special purposes, language planning, learner autonomy, dictionary and lexicology, script, and the last, mother tongue education. Next, we'll discuss about applied linguistics. Applied linguistics studies language at a variety of levels, study component of language, taking what the science of linguistics has discovered and applying it. We use the tools of linguistics to solve relatively practical problems. We can study the following component of language, such as phonetics, syntax, lexis, semantics, programmatics, and discourse, and also study of applied linguistics area, such as comparative linguistics, psycholinguistics, sociolinguistics, etc. Next chapter is discuss about applied linguistics and educational linguistics. Applied linguistics is precursor of educational linguistics, rather than educational linguistics. According to Blumpit's theory, educational linguistics is inevitably a sub-branch of applied linguistics, the study of language in real-world situations where the problems and conventions are defined by non-linguistics. Education needs linguistics because a deeper understanding of language deserves a place in any liberal curriculum because of its long-terminal intellectual benefits and makes social life possible. Next, the difference between applied linguistics and educational linguistics. Researchers suggest that educational linguistics is to be separated from applied linguistics. Not all interests in applied linguistics are thus necessarily tied to educational issues, and the scope of educational linguistics ranging from issues such as vernacular dialect used at school to second language phonological acquisition and teacher training in linguistics. And for the scope of applied linguistics includes many areas. According to Blumfield, applied linguistics is a theoretical and empirical investigation of real-world problems in which language is a central issue. The combination of language and real-world problem is the constituent feature of applied linguistics. Okay, the last chapter is discuss about code switching and code mixing in social media or Facebook. People use social media or Facebook for many reasons, such as easy way to communicate, to share and discuss, to facilitate the students or the teachers. According to Appeal, in sociolinguistics, code switching is symptom change of the language used because of the change of the situation. Kinds of code switching are inter-essential code switching, intra-essential code switching, and then extra-essential code switching. Code mixing. Code mixing is someone use one word or phrase from a language. These texts are characterized by having a high percentage of spelling errors and containing creative spellings, phonetic typing, wordplay, and abbreviation. Okay, I think enough. Thank you for watching. See you next time and I say wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.